Well, welcome back to another edition of 42nd Street Pete's Grindhouse, Really Weird Cinema. And how about a double Raincoat feature? And the reason I say Raincoat is because I think these two films were made with one purpose in mind, to have people jerking off to them in the theaters. Something I've never done. I've never felt the urge to rub one out in public while watching a movie. That's what hookers are for. You watch a movie, you get turned on, you go find a hooker. That was my modus operandi back in the day. So we go back to 1964 for The Beautiful, the Bloody, and the Bear. And this is a real weird fucking one here. And it's got, let me see. It's got one guy in it, Tom Signorelli, who actually went places. Actually, mainstream films like The Thief, Sleepers, Kelly's Heroes, Dick Tracy, stuff like that. So he really went somewhere. All this film is a showcase for nudity. It's shot in New York. The credits are written on garbage cans, street doors, signs, curbs, shit like that. So that belays the high budget it had. It's about this artist who has a photographer friend, Pete, who comes back from Europe and basically is interested in doing something, but he doesn't want to paint. He wants to shoot models. So, of course, his buddy Leo sets him up with a bunch of nude models. But there's something going haywire in the guy's mind when he sees this one chick putting on red fingernail polish. And this is one of those ones where basically all it is a showcase for nudity. Not that the chicks aren't hot, because, for 64 they are. But, like I said, this threadbare plot about this guy snapping at the end and killing one of the models and going after Leo's wife with a knife until he's subdued is kind of lame. But like I said, I believe this was produced for one reason in mind, to put in one of the skin flick theaters and, appeal to the Raincoat crowd. And the other one, which became a series, is called The Touch of Her Flesh, produced and directed by the Finleys, Roberta and Michael. And the plot is that basically Richard Jennings, played by Michael, sees his wife screwing around. Now, this is another one where it opens up where there's a lot of ample breasts, 60s type sheer lingerie, and a lot of, like I said, ample breasts, exposed asses, little bush here and there, and shit like that. Again, shot to appeal to the Raincoat crowd. But it seems like Mr. Jennings goes nuts when he sees his wife screwing around and runs out in the traffic and gets run over and loses an eye and is paraplegic and winds up in a wheelchair. So basically he spends the rest of the film killing women. And this is like maybe one of the early stalk and slash films where, he's pissed off at everybody, he's pissed off at all the women, eventually he finds his wife and kills her too. And of course there are two sequels. Which basically plays the same guy and is, killing people in different ways. I don't know. The emphasis seems to be on the nudity and then on the killing. It's kind of weird. And Michael Finley also played a crippled degenerate in a fucking wheelchair in The Ultimate Degenerate. So is that typecasting or what? Is the film any good? It's okay to me, but like I said, I really just feel that this was, a showcase of nudity to get people in the theater, and actually I got this fucking thing laying around here somewhere. Here's the old Something Weird video edition of it, which, Curse of Her Flesh and Kiss of Her Flesh were next. I know these have been written up. I know some people think highly of them. It just didn't really do it for me. Like I said, the nudity was great. You can get that anywhere, though. I just look at some of these as a time capsule as, the build came up and up through the mid-60s into 1972 when Deep Throat hit, and then all of a sudden nudity was passé, hardcore was in. So these are like little time capsules of how things, progressed up into them. And yes, Roberta Finley did graduate into directing hardcore films. We all know that Michael was in a tragic helicopter accident on the Pan Am building, where he was decapitated in a helicopter accident. So I think Roberta's still with us at that point. And like I said, she just, after he passed away, she just did a whole slew of hardcore stuff and some horror stuff. And, most of it was pretty good. So, like I said, the early nudie films are a time capsule. And, it was like, how far can you go? And, the whole art of it was, you know, how these women could position themselves in the fact like they look like they're giving somebody head, but the leg's in the way to block it. Same with the guy, same with, you know, intercourse. So it sort of was an art film how to block out these shots without them getting picked up on camera, you know, and, you know, be able to run. So, like I said, any of this stuff from back then, it sometimes as bad as it is, it's interesting because it just shows how things progressed. So that's our show for today. Thanks for subscribing. Thanks for tuning in. Again, thanks to our sponsors, Grindhouse Releasing and the Fusebox Show. Check out the Fusebox Show because I have a Grindhouse moment in each episode. So until next time, thanks for subscribing. Thanks for tuning in. Above all, stay safe, and we will catch you on the flip side.